Good afternoon, August 26th, and this video has to do with the credit reporting side of my practice. We handle a lot of cases under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, cases where there's been false information on your credit report that you can't get off, identity theft information that you can't get rid of, that type of thing. This has to do with permissible purpose, and permissible purpose is a part of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and it basically is addressing the issue of who has legal permission to go and access your credit report, go and pull your credit report. And the reason I'm doing this video is because back in July, and it's on my YouTube channel, back in July I did a couple of videos about permissible purpose, and I got a lot of questions. So I just wanted to give what I might call a bedrock video about permissible purpose. Just a stable bit of information that you can all have and you can all use on the issue of what is permissible purpose. When does a company or a bank or someone else have permissible purpose to pull your credit report? There's a couple of basic rules that you should know about permissible purpose. Number one is if you fill out a credit application, if you fill out a job application, if you fill out an insurance application, if you apply for many types of licenses with the federal government or with the state government or local government, when you apply, the point is you are applying. Then whoever you're applying to has permission, has a permissible purpose to pull your credit report. That is what I might call the most straightforward and obvious one, when you apply. Now, what are the other permissible purposes? What about times when you don't apply? When you don't apply, there are times when, even if you're not the one who's making the application, if you don't apply, there still are some times when an employer, a debt collector, can pull your credit. If there is a debt which a debt collector is trying to collect against you, the debt collector has a permissible purpose to pull your credit. If you are working for, let's say, a company, and they are doing a security check, a background check, just to make sure you are, remain eligible to keep your job, or perhaps you're being considered for a promotion, they are allowed to do they have permission, they can do, with permissible purpose, they can do a credit check on you. So that is what I might call the most basic bedrock rule, is when you apply, they can pull your credit. Now, there's times that they can pull some or all of your credit, even if you are not applying, even if you are not working somewhere, or like in the situation of a debt collector. There are a few occasions where they're allowed to, but when you are the one who is not applying, these situations normally result in what is called a soft inquiry. A soft inquiry on your credit report only goes to you. You're the only one who can see it. Versus a hard inquiry, which is the inquiry that normally occurs when you are applying for something. That is something that others can see to show that you've been out applying for credit. Also, in the case of a debt collector, if a debt collector gets a debt or gets assigned a debt that belongs to you, they're allowed to do what's called the hard inquiry. But let's go over the times that banks, creditors, companies you're doing business with, your employer. Actually, not your employer. That's probably the wrong thing to say there. But banks, companies you're doing business with, companies you have a line of credit with, they're allowed to do soft inquiries under certain situations. One is called account review. They, for instance, a bank wants to see if financially, if you're still eligible for some loan that they've extended to you. And a lot of times, if you read those long, lengthy loan applications, one of the things they say in there is periodically we will review your credit to ensure that you are still eligible for this loan. Perhaps the loan is one of these things where you have to maintain a 700 credit score to remain eligible for the loan. And so if you dip down to a 650 credit score, the bank technically has a right to cut off the line of credit. So that would be one example of account review. There are other situations for account review, but account review, like I say, is a soft inquiry. It's only seen by you, and it doesn't count against your credit score. Now, another situation is promotional offerings. This particularly happens a lot if you have a credit score falling within a certain range, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a great credit score. There are lots of promotional offerings made to people, let's say between a credit scores of 650 and 740. What happens is a bank, a credit card company, they want to make an offer of credit to you. And so they will pull your credit report. They don't necessarily get your entire credit report, but they will pull your credit report to see if you are indeed, in fact, eligible for the offering that they're proposing to make. And that is also a soft inquiry. And again, uh, it's kind of an open question about how much of your credit report they get. It's likely though that they don't get the whole thing. They probably get, sort of the Reader's Digest version of your credit report, but they will get your credit score. And the point of them pulling the report is to make an offering to you, like a new credit card at a certain percentage rate, that type of thing. Now, those are what I might call the most basic and the most obvious examples of permissible purpose, legally permissible purpose. What is not a permissible purpose? Pretty much just about everything else. I haven't covered every single conceivable permissible purpose here, but let me give you a few examples that we see in my office all the time. Sometimes, for instance, spouses going through a divorce, they pull each other's credit. They want to find out, something about, the other spouse, that type of thing. They're not allowed to. You're not allowed to. Now, with a caveat though, if you're doing a business deal with someone, and it is a bona fide business deal, they are allowed to pull your credit. If your neighbor, on the other hand, and actually I was handling a neighbor dispute about a year ago, where these neighbors were getting mad at each other over basically, loud music at night, plants growing on, trees growing on one side of the property line, that type of thing. I mean, a really traditional neighbor dispute. Well, one of the neighbors pulled the credit report on the other neighbor. That he's got no business dealings with that neighbor. He's got no reason whatsoever to pull credit. That would be another example where that is not a permissible purpose. One that I see quite a bit, which happens a lot, and that is when someone sues someone else. So, for instance, Joe sues Mary, let's say after an auto accident, and Mary's mad. Mary doesn't want to be sued, and Mary doesn't like Joe. So Mary pulls Joe's credit, basically just to find out something that she can use against Joe, because he went ahead and he brought this lawsuit against Mary. That's not a permissible purpose. And sometimes Mary or Mary's insurance company will pull the attorney's credit report, and that actually happened to me when I was a younger attorney. Basically, what they want to find out is they want to find out if you're capitalized. They want to find out if you have enough, resources to actually, continue with the lawsuit. And so they go ahead and pull your credit report just to get an idea of what your credit looks like. So, these are just a few examples of not a permissible purpose. Let's say a brother and sister are fighting with each other over mom's will. And so they start pulling each other's credit reports. Not allowed. A company, just willy-nilly decides to check your credit because who the heck knows? Maybe they just want to check your credit. Not allowed. They need a permissible purpose. They need you applying for some kind of credit or service with that company, or they need account review, or they need a legitimate promotional offering. These are just some examples. Again, permissible purpose and the whole concept of permissible purpose. This is something that has been in the courts. People have argued about it, sometimes for a period of years. It's not necessarily a completely settled area, but I think that this video gives you what I might call the most basic information you need about permissible purpose. But I would say the number one rule that you have to remember, if you're applying for it, then whoever you're applying with has a permissible purpose, and that will be a hard inquiry. So that is the number one rule to understand. Is if you see a bunch of hard inquiries showing up on your credit report and you didn't apply with that person for something, then you need to take the next step. You need to find out why it is that they were pulling your credit, and you need to dispute it. You need to dispute it with the person who pulled your credit. You need to dispute it with the credit bureaus. If they don't take it off after you dispute it and they don't establish a permissible purpose, then come see me and we'll make some money together. Anyway, I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're staying cool this summer, and I hope you're getting through the virus crisis okay, and I'll talk to you soon.